It's been 5 years since North Korea has gone dark, no communications in or out, and the northern posts of the DMZ have remained vacant. You're heading the advance team entering North Korea to investigate what happened. This is your report. The helicopter's skid skimmed the tops of the waves in the Yellow Sea. The stealth paneling should hide it from all radar, but just to be sure, it was standard protocol to fly as low as possible. And the pilot, Lieutenant Ozarski, took that as a challenge to turn his bird into a boat. In the back, 8 Navy SEALs waited in full gear. In their hands, each of them held a copy of the short transmission received only minutes ago from South Korean agent Gwang Ui-tae, underground since last contact. Rockets almost ready to launch. Intervene immediately. She'd gone quiet 5 years ago, just like every other spy and agent in the country. At first, intelligence sources thought there was just a purge, and a surprisingly effective one for the normally incompetent Kim government. The message largely confirmed that something had happened to drive her underground. But it didn't explain why she hadn't been able to make it back to one of the safe houses right over the Chinese border, or why she hadn't been able to make any contact in any other way. North Korea may be tightly controlled, but the point of satellite phones is that they work anywhere. The second part of the message was far more chilling: rocket almost ready to launch. When communication was first cut off, world leaders braced for nuclear attack. It was the only thing that could explain withdrawing troops from the DMZ and the Chinese border. But after almost 6 months of evacuations in the south and the hurried installation of an anti-missile shield, it became apparent that there was no imminent attack. That didn't mean the threat was gone for good, though. The only thing still coming out of North Korea was seismic data that showed repeated nuclear tests, growing in size every few months. They were certainly up to something, but no one knew exactly what. Or, more importantly, when that something would be revealed and used against North Korea's neighbors. And now, the message from Agent Gwang made it clear that the time had come. "All right," Captain Morrow addressed the men, "standard retrieval. The fact that this is North Korea doesn't change anything." Out the windows of the helicopter, shore was just becoming visible. There wasn't even a single pinpoint of light across the entire horizon. No one had seen a light on in North Korea in years. "We need to get Gwang out and debrief her as soon as possible to find out how soon the attack will come. And if need be, we need to stay in and thwart the attack." The men in the back of the helicopter nodded without question. They'd known what they were getting into when they joined the Navy SEALs, and stopping an entire country from destroying half of Asia was just another Tuesday. Out the windows, the sea disappeared and was replaced by treetops so close that they could have reached out and grabbed a branch if not for the doors of the helicopters. Ozarski certainly did enjoy taking risks. The silent skyline of Pyongyang came into view as the helicopter settled in for a landing in a park by the waterfront. They deployed out the back of the helicopter, guns swinging in all directions. But no one was there to greet them. The river that had once teemed with fishing boats and even a few freighters was now still. Even the buildings along the riverbank were overgrown, no longer kept up. That confirmed what satellite imagery and flyovers had already guessed from seeing a few buildings crumbling and collapsed. "This is just unsettling," Andrews growled into the microphone as they activated the night vision setting for their HUDs and advanced into the city. Cars rusted in the streets, not used for years now. At one intersection, they came upon a herd of deer peacefully grazing at the grass growing between cracks in the asphalt. Where the hell is everyone? No one else had a response, but they all felt the same way. A firefight would be preferable to this gnawing, empty silence. How could millions of people just vanish like this? "Keep it together," Captain Morrow told them. "We're getting near the transmission point." In the street ahead of them, the triangular shape of the Ryugyong Hotel loomed over the rest of the city. The hotel was supposed to be North Korea's crowning jewel, but as far as anyone in the intelligence community could guess, it had never seen a single occupant. Instead, it had been abandoned as a monument to the failure of the state. And according to the trace of Agent Gwang's signal, that had been the one place she'd been able to transmit from. The team of SEALs snaked their way down the streets toward it with guns still at the ready, though it looked more and more like that wouldn't be necessary. Finally they reached the edge of the hotel's walls. "Sir?" Petty Officer Llewellyn had his hand against the concrete wall. "It's vibrating." The rest of the team joined him, placed their hands alongside his, and then exchanged looks that all said one thing: "What the hell is going on in this place?" "Let's get inside," Captain Morrow ordered. They weren't here to investigate shaking walls, they were here to extract the South Korean informant. They made their way around the edge of the hotel. Lawns that had once been manicured were now overgrown, and ivy was beginning to creep up the side of the hotel. Satellite maps led the team straight to the doors of the hotel, which had once been made of glass but were now just gaping holes with a few remaining shards. "Some kind of insurrection, you think?" Petty Officer Graber wondered aloud. "There's no bodies," Llewellyn answered. "If they'd turned on each other, there'd be bodies. And plenty more destruction." "Stow it," Morrow barked as they entered the lobby. Despite having not seen a soul, they still didn't want to give away their position should someone be in the hotel. Agent Gwang was still the objective. He led the way past the termite-eaten front desk of the hotel and down the hall, deeper into the interior. The vibrating grew worse and worse, making it hard to even walk. They arrived at a set of double doors marked with Korean that the auto-translating HUD in their helmets informed them said main stairway. Morrow placed a charge on the door, urged them all back, and then detonated it. After waiting a moment to see if there was any reaction, the captain charged in first and was nearly blinded as bright light overwhelmed his night vision. The interior was gleaming white and lit with enormous spotlights. The team changed their HUDs back to normal vision and entered what looked like a huge laboratory. Forgetting their discipline, they rushed over to the railing across from the door and looked down into the depths under the hotel. Below them was a hole that seemed to stretch miles into the earth, with row after row of balconies teeming with people. And filling that hole was an enormous rocket ship probably 100 times larger than anything NASA had ever built. The HUD picked up the writing along the side of the rocket and automatically translated it for the SEALs, the People's Ark.